Nigeria, South Africa, and that yellow card controversy, which 195 Nigerians were prevented entry into South Africa, having gotten there upon that yellow card controversy matter. Well, we have on the line now Larry Bangboshe of Arik Air. Morning, can you hear us?
Good morning.
Okay, thank you for joining us on line this morning.
My pleasure.
Okay, could you just give us a background? What actually happened?
I guess there's been some issues with the port authorities in South Africa. We had passengers who flew with us to Johannesburg for the past few days, and the authorities in South Africa said they found them inadmissible, which means they have to be deported. And in the past few days, we've had quite a number of Nigerians and West African nationals being deported on our service, on the Lagos-Johannesburg service. So that's what the situation is at the moment. Over yellow card vaccination card irregularities, they called it.
Okay, but the statement that was released by your firm also says that the procedure was irregular, is obfuscating. How is that?
We found that very irregular because we know that before you could even have your visas issued, there is a need for the embassy. The embassy will always request for 1 second, please. The embassy will always request for your yellow card, photocopy of your yellow card vaccination before your visas are issued. So on account of this, you have your visas issued, and I wonder why the authorities in South Africa, the hotels in this case, will suddenly find it admissible when in the first place you have presented your yellow card before you had visas issued.
Okay, so when you chose to stop operations to South Africa, what were you hoping to achieve at that point in time? Didn't you stand a lot to lose?
Very inappropriate because we felt Nigeria and South Africa have got a bilateral air services agreement, and this agreement has clearly stipulated that there must be service between both countries and there are certain procedures that must be fulfilled. These requirements we have met, and that is the basis for our operation. So if we had operated over the years to South Africa, we wonder why it is now that certainly you'll be throwing our people back home on your service. So going forward, we said to ourselves, we need to put a stop to this service while Nigerian government and South African government meet to resolve the issues, because we can no longer find a situation where our people will be tossed back home on account of either going for tourism or going to do their businesses.
Well, we understand that they'll be meeting today, Nigeria and maybe some of the counterparts from South Africa. What should we be seeking to clarify?
Fundamental issues, basically. If we say you have to go to South Africa with yellow cards, I recall a few days back, our Minister of Foreign Affairs said this is also inappropriate because there's a WHO mandate on this. But even if you introduce this rule and Nigerians have met the requirements for visa, we know that at the point of entry you could introduce other rules, but then where the requirement has been met and duly specified, they have access. I also have been made to understand that there were a couple of people who had visited South Africa with the same yellow card who had been deported on this particular situation, in this particular instance. So these are the issues.
Were they actually deported? We're just trying to get this straight now. Were they deported or they were refused entry?
Well, when you're refused entry, you are technically deported. Because if you put back on the service that brought you, you will not be allowed into the country. You'll be put back on the service that brought you into the country. That's the airline that brought you in that country, and you'll be sent back home.
Okay, but we understand that this has been happening for some time now.
Well, it has been an ongoing issue, but not at this scale. There have been one or two cases where some people have found it admissible, not totally because of yellow cards, but on other instances, probably due to when the authorities are convinced that you don't have enough funds to support your stay and the rest of it. However, this is the first time we have a deportation of this scale over yellow card issue.
Do you believe the Nigerians are being targeted?
Well, I'm aware that there's some other West African nationals in this particular situation, but as you know, we have enjoyed very good relationship over the years with South Africa. I'm not speaking for government in this case, but it's so surprising that it will happen at this time when between our countries we are meant to enjoy good relationship. I will not categorically say Nigerians are being targeted, but the number of Nigerians in this case is so much that it calls for attention, and I think our government needs to do something very drastic about this.
Are you facing another challenge in your operations in that Lagos-Johannesburg route?
At the moment, other than this, none. We have good relationship with our aeronautical partners in South Africa, but this particular situation has been the biggest challenge so far.
All right then. Thank you, Larry, for speaking with us this morning.
Thank you.
All right then, Larry Bangboshe of Arik Air. Well, we have joining us in the studio now to continue our focus on this matter, Haske Jibrin, who is the President, Nigeria Air Traffic Controllers Association. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, when people talk about being deported, air traffic, sometimes, of course, you got a role to play in all of this, but when you heard about this matter, how did you see it?
Well, I wasn't happy, really, I mean, when I heard this. And reason being that I felt maybe it's an overreaction on the part of the South African authorities. Over a yellow card, deport more than 100 Nigerians back to this country. I mean, I feel that is not justifiable. There's no way you can justify such a thing, unless if there's any other issue, but not yellow card.
Have we had any experience ourselves? Because those who expect that, okay, if the same thing happens there, we should also put our foot down and do certain things. You think you support that school of thought?
No, I don't. People should simply do what is right. If others do certain things that we feel are wrong, we shouldn't join them in doing, similar things.
What should we be doing then? I mean, because we have a market here. We should be able to make a statement, not just in the world, in Africa first and foremost. And if we can't put our foot down in Africa, where else can we?
Well, like the other speaker said, the ARIC official, there is a need for a robust intervention by the Nigerian federal government. This has been going on for some years. I remember about 8 years ago, some senior air traffic controllers traveled to South Africa for a course. 2004, I remember, 4 of them. At the airport, the immigration officials detained them, actually, claiming that the visas were fake. And what was their reason? The address on the visa read Abuja. And I think the officials there were saying that South African visas are not normally granted in Abuja, but in Lagos. And for that reason, I mean, they embarrassed our people. The truth of the matter was that those visas were issued in Abuja, not in Lagos. The South African officials were wrong.
Did they apologize eventually?
They didn't. They were hostile from the account official, senior colleagues gave us then. They didn't.
But did we demand one? I mean, was that issue reported to, say, the Nigerian embassy in South Africa, and did we demand an apology?
No. It wasn't reported, you know. I mean, typical of us. I mean, anything goes. And when the South African immigration officials allowed them entry, they went in, did their course, and came back to the country, told us what happened, and that was it. There wasn't any official protest or complaint, you know, from our part. You know, but yes, I feel maybe it's as if they simply don't want us there. I mean,
yeah, but you know, if we also look at what you said now, you said something about our attitude of anything goes. It seems to also reflect on us and our country as a people. You know, what can we do to begin to change that? Because I was just asking, do we ask any country to bring in any clarification, any health clearance, anything at all? Do we demand anything of any country?
Well, where there is need, really, if people are coming from a particular country or from a set of countries where you have frequent cases of particular diseases as precaution, maybe you can make
Are you aware of anything? I mean, there was a time when SARS was
exactly
was the in thing, bird flu. Did we ask people to bring any sort of clarification?
I do not remember.
You don't remember us asking for anything?
No.
But what does this say about us, really?
Well, I look at it differently. I think Nigerians are good people. At times we're too hard on ourselves. When you travel across the world, you will come to see this, not because we're Nigerians, but that is just the fact. We are a good people, despite our, numerous shortcomings. Many people, foreigners, they live among us without any documentation or any approvals or whatever, and people don't really care.
But what would you demand of the government at this point in time, especially in the light of this kind of situation? Maybe not as regards yellow fever cards, but against a host of other issues. Have you faced a situation where it seems like as if foreigners are coming to get the jobs that we ordinarily should be doing? All these other issues are things that are coming to the fore in the light of this kind of issue that seems as simple as it is.
Yeah, I think that will be a step in the right direction to really tighten up things, ensure that everybody that comes into this country is properly screened. He has all the necessary documentation, identification. We have so many challenges now. The one coming to the fore now, national security. Now, even if for that reason, we must really be more vigilant so that people do not import into our country problems that are not fundamentally local to us. Even if for that, we can do that. But our country has a lot of potential, so I don't look at that issue of jobs, really. If the environment is made more conducive, we'll be looking for more workers, really.
Yeah, but if you look at this, because we understand now that some other West African countries are beginning to require the same procedure, this yellow card, before you come in. And by the way, I don't know how many people know that if you get that card, it's supposed to last for 10 years. Shouldn't we have taken up this matter nationally, frontally also, either by way of the African Union or ECOWAS? Because if you're supposed to, Economic Community of West African States, to allow for this free trade movement, and that is a major requirement, shouldn't we have made a statement way before now as a country?
Yeah, we should have. We should have, really. I'm aware, even here on the western coast, if you're traveling to Senegal, for example, they do also require a yellow card. Even though I'm not aware of anybody they've turned back who has no yellow card or whatever. Just like the South Africans are doing now. This yellow card of a thing, I personally tend to feel that it's an outdated requirement. It's obsolete. The South Africans, as far as I know, are yet to show us any evidence of Nigerians, causing any yellow fever epidemic in South Africa as a result of traveling into their country with quote and unquote fake yellow
fever cards.
So that is why I felt that this action of deporting more than 100 Nigerians is totally unjustifiable. And again, here in our country, we do not have cases of yellow fever epidemic now. To now say, okay, anybody coming from Nigeria should have that. Now look at it from another side. Nigerians travel all over the world. There are so many countries that do not require this yellow card. Now, has anything happened as far as yellow fever infection or in those countries that do not require yellow cards from Nigerians? That is why I am saying that I feel it is an obsolete requirement that we do not even need. In this age, in time, really.
Well, it's amazing because today they're going to be meeting, because we know that the same thing happened in 2001. It's becoming recurring every now and then.
It is.
So who knows what next after this? But hopefully we expect that at the end of this kind of scenario, these kind of procedures or this kind of scenario should not play itself out again. Hopefully, but who knows?
Yes.
But even in our airports, how do you guys operate? Do you take them seriously? Is everyone checking who ought to be checked? Because we get complaints too that at the airports, maybe some of your colleagues allow easy access to some people. Is that happening still?
No, I don't think so. security is taken quite seriously. Security has always been a serious issue, but even now, I mean, it's been taken more seriously. So I doubt if people are being given free access into areas that they should not normally have access to. Now, most of the airport environment is highly restricted. When you take out the terminal building, the departure hall, the arrival hall. And if you go to MMA now, even these so-called public places are equally restricted. You hardly find people who have no business being in the departure hall, being in that hall. You find several levels of security before you get to the doors.